welcome Ms. Shweta Sivaram, who is currently a paralegal and brings strong skills in legal research, preparation of bundles, drafting notes, analyzing with clients, preparing seminars in business development, and having graduated with a BBA honors in law, she has developed a particular interest in dispute resolution along with intellectual property law and company law. Prior to working with SOL International Limited, Ma'am has interacted in UAE and in India under well-reputed advocates and firms. As someone who thrives on challenging work and a constant drive to excel, she is well suited to be a service as well. Ma'am, it's an honor to welcome you and over to you.
Thank you so much for that very warm introduction, Indra. Hi, everyone. I am so grateful to have been invited to speak at this summit. Thank you to the Youth United Council of India for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Shweta Shivram, and yeah, Indra has already introduced me. So I'm a paralegal at SOL International Limited, a boutique dispute resolution firm in the UAE. When I was invited to speak at this summit, the topic that I was going to be speaking on was a no-brainer. I knew that I would have to speak about children's safety in the digital age. I would like to quote Anthony Late. He was the former UNICEF director. For better or for worse, digital technology is now an irreversible fact of our lives. In this digital world, we are faced with the dual challenge of how to mitigate the harms while at the same time maximize the benefits of the internet for every child. So I am a late 90s kid, probably, I hope I'm not the youngest on this panel, but nevertheless a 90s kid. And I was witness to the rise of the digital age and also how it so quickly became an all-consuming factor in our lives. But I would say that my childhood was much less complex. I would go out and play with friends who my parents knew they could associate a face with a name. But in this day and age, friends are merely avatars or photoshopped images on a social media or gaming platform. It's no lie that technology has the capability to compromise children's safety, physical safety, affect self-esteem, and also family dynamics. Earlier, parents were aware of who their children were playing with, where they live, where they are currently playing, and warned them to stay away from strangers. Don't take food from anyone. If someone offers you chocolates, you move away. But now that has become so much more difficult, for a parent to be constantly aware of what their child is doing online. They could be playing anything with anyone, anywhere. For all they know, their child's new 15-year-old friend from Dubai could very well be a 50-year-old man, a 50-year-old pedophile living in the same city. The risks of the digital world, if you may say, they mirror those in the physical world. Bullies can now reach their victims in the digital space, just as they do in a school playground. Children can be exposed to hate speech and racism in the games they play, in the videos they watch, in the apps that they use to communicate with their friends. No doubt that children are smarter when it comes to using technology than their parents. I still need to teach my father how to upload a status on WhatsApp. So I don't dispute that, but I don't think the children of this day and age are emotionally or intellectually capable to handle the less positive aspects of this digital era. I don't blame them because with digitization, so many essential services have moved online. So they are left with no choice but to constantly engage with this digital environment as part of their daily lives. But parents do, in an effort to protect their kids from this danger, install parental control software on their computers, or the age old, keep the computer in a place where I can see you using it, or don't use it at all. But it's not possible to sustain these rules in this generation, because we have moved into what you can say web 2.0, and these safety rules are becoming outdated. Parents, they know less about technology as compared to their children, and the way their children use, they have no knowledge of it. And so these rules are no longer sufficient to adequately protect their children. Computers are not the only danger. You have smartphones, online games, subscription movie sites, virtual reality sites, social networking sites. The list is endless, and all of these are a potential source of danger. When it comes to people, you may think that strangers are the only ones who warrant concern, but no, friends, peers equally. You need to guard your children against all of this. In any case, it is absolutely clear that children need to be protected, and this will require vigilant efforts from the government, from the private sector, from companies, and the community in general. We need to identify and mitigate the risk that may cause harm to children, and all of us have a role to play in that. Today, it's not just pornography or bullying that children need to be protected from. There are much worse dangers that they encounter. And a lot of that goes unnoticed or unseen, in fact. Let's talk about social media platforms. They are purposely built to be compulsive, to force you to spend more and more time on that platform. The more time you spend on it, the more revenue that social media platform generates. It's as simple as that. But something so trivial, so tiny as the number of likes on an Instagram post can have and has had dramatic effects on a child's self-esteem. In fact, only very recently, Instagram has introduced the option to hide that like count, and this feature, according to me, was introduced solely because of the anxiety that this like count caused amongst people. If you didn't have a certain number of likes on your post, you weren't considered cool enough or pretty enough or beautiful enough. A Harvard University research said that a person gets a hit of dopamine to their brain every time they receive a like. Now, I don't know if I felt that way, but they say that not getting a like can be equated to not being invited to a party. So we can see the effect, the impact that something so tiny as the number of likes on a post can have on an individual. And parents are getting increasingly worried because their children are using platforms, social media platforms that are not meant for them. Websites need to have more rigorous methods of blocking children from accessing these platforms. There is no other way. This increasing use of social media platforms has resulted in children being under the constant pressure of having to live the perfect lives that they see others have, or maybe others are pretending to have. But what we need to understand is these platforms were not built for children in mind. So the fact that something that they are engaged in constantly is affecting their self-esteem, is bringing down their morale, is bringing down their confidence, and they are subject to such harmful content on a day-to-day basis. It's alarming. It's alarming. Molly Russell was a girl in the UK, and she took her own life in 2017. Her father partly blamed Instagram for her death. And so what I'm sorry. It's just so it's really it's not funny. It's actually very sad. I'm on all social media platforms, and I see day in and day out people commenting really harsh stuff on posts that completely unwarranted comments. So I don't know why they do that, but they need to be educated. They need to be made aware that such bullying, such harassment is not okay. And with the COVID pandemic, this has accelerated the adoption of digital technologies, say for work, for online learning, socializing, games, and of course, keeping in touch with loved ones. In fact, this digital connectivity was deemed as the silent hero of the pandemic. We all needed one. But with this increase in screen time and the constant reliance on digital technologies has resulted in a massive increase in online child sexual exploitation and abuse. Both children and sexual offenders are confined at home and they are spending increasing time online. So law enforcement authorities and reporting hotlines have seen a massive increase in the number of child sexual abuse material that is being shared online. In April 2020 alone, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children registered 4 million reports of suspected child abuse material online, compared to the 1 million that was shared in 2019. Now, when we look at the stakeholders who have a role to play in protecting children in this digital age, we have businesses, we have the government, we have schools, we have teachers, we have parents, and then we have the children themselves. Businesses that provide and promote digital technologies have the responsibility and a fundamental role to play in addressing online child sexual abuse. There is no single size fits all or single method through which they can help tackle this issue. Businesses of different sizes and resources have different roles and responsibilities in this, if you may say, global fight to end online child sexual abuse and exploitation. In fact, technology companies and internet service providers have a particularly important role because of the prime position that they are in which they can effect significant change. It's not possible to ban children from screens completely. That will be counterproductive because we need them. We need them to use technology. They have the right to participate, to engage. Parents need to understand what their children are doing online and embrace it. Have open discussions with what is acceptable, what isn't. When my parents used to send me out to play, they would tell me, you should act this way, don't cross this road and go, don't talk to these people, don't talk to strangers, be kind to some people. Children need to know that these rules apply to the digital world as well. According to studies conducted by the UNICEF, most adolescents, when facing an online threat, are more likely to share it with their friends and peers rather than their parents. I agree with that because if someone, when I was a child, when I was 10 or 12, if my parents told me not to do something, that is exactly what I would do. But if I heard it from a friend, who probably went through a bad experience and told me, okay, don't do this because I don't think it's safe, I'm going to tend to listen to that. So when we look at the role that stakeholders have to play in this, tech corporations need to redesign the digital environment that they're providing to children. And governments have the responsibility to regulate this digital environment that tech companies are providing. This is to promote internet safety. At the same time, parents, schools, and teachers have the responsibility to give children the skills, the knowledge, and the values that they need in order to use the digital technology provided to them wisely and responsibly. So in practice, parents and educators on one side, tech corporations and governments, they need each other's support. They have to go hand in hand. And it's the only way to be able to understand the risks and how to mitigate these risks. So when it comes to children and young people, they can support one another by sharing information about how to protect each other and speaking out against online violence. Parents, talk to your children about online safety. Make sure they understand the risks, all of the risks that they may face online and what they can do in the event they find themselves in trouble. Teachers will have to educate themselves first about the various social tools and online platforms that are used in their countries. This will help them get a better understanding of the risks that children may face and how best to mitigate these risks and empower the children to face what may come their way. Schools, on the other hand, schools can play a major role in this. Schools can incorporate information on digital safety into their curriculum and provide counselors, peer-to-peer support to children, probably children who have had negative experiences online. They can have a peer group where students share what they have felt. And to conclude, I would just like to say that as our society just moves into this completely digital world, it is important now more than ever to gain an understanding of the risks of this digital world and everything that comes with it. Only then can we implement policies and practices that will help protect and support the children. The risks are completely intertwined with the solutions, and what we have before us now may not eliminate the risks, but just like we have speed bumps or pedestrian crossings to assist us and make it a bit safe to cross the road or walk around the neighborhood. If we have better designs for digital technologies, standards and policies, all of this can help improve the safety of the online world. So we can have better education and resources to prepare children and parents to better assess the risks of the online world, and more watchful and robust institutions can address these issues and risks and prevent the harm when identified. So I'd just like to say that safety doesn't happen by accident, and we need to work actively across sectors, across research areas, across regions, and across countries to enhance child safety in the digital environment. Thank you. That was my time. Thank you so much to the Youth United Council of India and Indra and Vimal for this wonderful opportunity. I hope this was informative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shweta. I kind of totally agree with you with whatever you just said. In this era of digitalization, the web is something that we can scarcely avoid at this point of time. But preparing your kids to be safe and successful in online environments is what should be our main aim. And the best way for parents to begin it is by cultivating their own digital literacy. And digital literacy should get its required place in formal education in schools and colleges, and also must be taught in a broader aspect. And yes, problems exist, but we need to overcome them with technological, societal, and legislative solutions that are available. So thank you so much, Ms. Shweta. It was really great having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.